welcome to the show, episode 31.
Yeah.
I'm back in the mix from the start of it again, not dipping in and out of meetings. Josh is melting, so
I'm
it's
melting.
like, let's just move fast.
I'm melting.
It's hot outside, man. Look, he's already turned into one of them. He's like, oh, it's cold, cold, cold. No, it's hot. It's too hot.
No, the heat inside here hot.
I told you before, it traps the heat, it traps the cold. When you lot were moaning all the time at the start of it.
No, but it was cold and you used to have the window open.
I'm fine. I'm flexible. I adapt. Like, I'm good, whatever the heat is. As long as you don't bring kryptonite in my distance, I'm cool.
What's good though?
What's been happening? So first off, I think we obviously need to touch on the atrocity in Manchester at the start of the week, and just thoughts out to everybody who was involved in that,
Terrifying.
affected by it. Like when I woke up and when I saw it and it said Manchester Arena, first thing in my mind was like, is there a Manchester in America? Because I think there is in the States.
Yeah, Manchester.
Sorry, that sounds like a naive question to us. Yeah, I think there is.
There
But
is.
I looked at it, I thought, is there a Manchester Arena in America? Because it just didn't seem.
Yeah.
Not that it would have been normal to happen there, but it just didn't seem like a thing that would have happened at Ariana Grande concert in Manchester, like especially with something that's full of young women and children. Like, it was a horrible thing to see.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Truly terrifying. It's been a tough week. I have loads of friends and family in Manchester. All week my Facebook, I have loads of friends in Manchester, and all week my Facebook's just been like.
Yeah, you went uni in Manchester.
Oh, uni
didn't
in
you?
Manchester. I have so many friends there, so it is mad. Like, yeah, and what you find is that that 6 degree separation, it actually is true. Like, people did know people that have lost people in that thing. Like I saw it. Someone's going, "Oh, where's this person?" And then sorry for your loss. I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
It's terrifying as well. Like we go to concerts all the time. Imagine like now it's different. Like because what happened was that when you go to concerts they search your bags before you go in. But what happens when you go out? Yeah, they don't do it because it's like anyone can walk up to the place. You're not gonna go inside because everyone thinks why the concert's finished. Why you want to go inside?
Yeah.
So that's what happened. The guys walked up to the stand, and the thing blew off, and people were leaving early. So it's just mad.
Do you know what's mad as well is you've got the FA Cup tomorrow. I thought to myself, it's going to be insane, the security of that. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's huge event after.
It'll be slow getting inside, and I don't blame them. And it'll be hard when you're leaving because they'll proper like.
Well, they've already stopped like the victory parades and stuff. You know, whoever wins, there's no victory parade.
Oh, is it? I didn't know.
They've cancelled that. They've cancelled. There was a Emirates screening indoors. They've cancelled that. I think they're just being like extra vigilant. There was one guy who went. There was some group music, and they were like, "Yeah, we're not going to cancel our tours because that comes across as cowardly." I'm like, I understand the sentiment of where you're coming from, but it also comes across as sensible as well. Like, because it's not about you saying I'm brave enough to go and do my concert. It's the people who rock up in the audience, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's been a weird week anyway.
But we could talk about the positives of Manchester.
What's
I think you
that?
might want to reiterate on the fact because you flipped that in a funny time in the conversation. So you're talking about Man United. I've got to clarify. You're talking
Talk
about Man
about
United.
the positives.
Well, I
Positives.
don't think there's much to talk about there. So,
Man United won the Europa League.
just congratulations to them. It don't make no difference to me. I'm not affected by
Yeah,
football, so
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know
yeah.
how to rate it.
It doesn't mean nothing to me.
That's good. It means a lot to me though.
So
So I couldn't care less what these two say.
No, calm down. He's the
Yeah.
football guy. I just,
Yeah.
we've already been through this.
Well done to United.
It is what it is. I don't want to talk about football anyway. Not because I have anything against football. It doesn't make any difference to me. Just yeah. But I said that to you
Well,
last night. I went congratulations on United. Like,
Yeah, well,
it's what it is. And it was good.
I want to say it on camera. Well done, United. Well done. And it was good to happen as well, especially after what happened in Manchester.
Yeah, I was going to say that. That's fine.
That was also a nice thing to happen. So big up yourselves, Manchester United.
You played against kids and beat kids.
Man, that's unfair. Yeah, Ajax have got a good team. Ajax have got a good team, and they've done a good thing. And it wasn't. I didn't watch the game, but I sort of heard that it wasn't the most exciting performance. But it doesn't make any difference. I think Rio Ferdinand said afterwards, nobody remembers the performance. They just remember the win. So it's what it is.
Take your hating hat off.
Ain't no one hating, man. This ain't your football group, right?
I'm
I'm
not hating.
talking to Josh.
I'm not hating. Anyways,
Anyways, it's killing the conversation. I want to talk about football.
I did so.
So moving on. What did we want to talk about this week? So what's the first topic? Is it?
You've laid it on me. I don't like it when you tee them up. Like
I'm teeing up. I was trying to do it smoothly, but it didn't really work out. So, go on. So what's the first topic then?
Well, what do we want to go through?
What makes it a great relationship?
I would. Yeah.
What makes it a great relationship? So, as you know, Ben's single, Leon's married, and I've just got a girlfriend. and we all have different perspectives on what makes a great relationship. We start off with the person that's married because I think that's the graduation.
I think it's a mix of. I think the topic for me is that I think it's an interesting point to discuss. One about what makes a great relationship, the importance of having that relationship, because we can look at flip turns. I can find benefits from me being single. That doesn't mean I seek to always forever be single, but then there are benefits from finding somebody at the same time, which is where kind of you guys can provide input that, frankly, it's been so long since I had a girlfriend, I've forgotten to talk the benefits, and I was young, so that weren't real proper relationships.
I think one of the benefits of having a relationship is having someone that supports you. And what I mean is, your friends support you, but then it's also having that someone that supports you in the background when the quiet times, when the friends are no longer there. That it's when you're single, you don't always have it, because when your friends aren't there, you're usually by yourself in your quiet space. But when my quiet space now usually involves my girlfriend being there, and me being I can be brutally honest with her and say, like, yeah, this is not what I'm doing is not what I want to do, or I'm not happy this way, and she supports me in those effects. And you were saying, like, last week's podcast, it took you some time before I'm not to leave now. It took you some time before you showed vulnerability in your relationship. And I said that I tried to start off showing vulnerability. And the reason why I did that is because from past relationships, I come across as being quite smooth, like too smooth, in the sense that I know what to say to girls, I know how to make a girl like me, blah blah. But then it doesn't come up when you go through bad times. It's like a shock to them, a shock to the system, and then you either like think, this person won't support me, or I don't like show that I have weaknesses, and then I dump them. So with my girlfriend, the current one, my last one hopefully, with my girlfriend.
She'll be watching this. You better say the right things.
Yeah. With her, from the get go, I said to her, look, this is me, and these are things stuff that I worry about. These stuff that's on my mind. These are stuff I want to achieve. This is me, and you either love it or you love it or hate it. If you can't deal with it, then I'm cool.
I think you can do that now because you've had experience. You've had a number of like relationships or seeing people that you can then have the confidence. Because sometimes if you're not quite involved in seeing people, and then you finally see a girl and you meet a girl and you really like her, then you might be nervous to show because you don't want to rock the boat, you don't want to mess anything up, and then you can probably try and be the big man, and you know what I'm saying? So it's difficult. I think one of the key things for me is, and I said it to Daniela earlier on in the week because I had some stuff going on where I was like literally fuming, but she's the first person that in my mind I'm like, I want to tell, you know what I mean? So she's the first person that I'll call and I'll explain what's going on, and then we can talk about it. And I think that for me, it's the support network that you have when you're building something. And I think we've now got to that level where we're definitely, she's my best friend, I'm her best friend, and we'll talk about things, and you could just be yourself around each other. Before
Daniela, who was that person? Was that your mum?
You know what? No, because I'm one of three. I'm the eldest. I'm bloody sweating up here as well. I'm the eldest, so, and I'm like a mummy's boy, but I always want to look after my mum.
Okay.
So, again, I would never. It was the same thing with Daniela when I first met her. I would never tell my mum my problems, and my mum. I don't talk to my mum like that. I'm always the strong one. Do you know what I mean? And I want my mum to come to me to help and stuff. But yeah, who was it before? I don't know. It probably would just be certain friends. One of my best mates. So yeah, I've always had a good network of friends around me. So that's helped. But yeah, it was probably just friends before that.
How difficult, I'll say it to you two because I know the feeling anyway, but how difficult, how much of a challenge do you think it is for people to be able to hold on to find the right person rather than just a person? Because, and the reason I ask the question is, I haven't been in an actual relationship for coming on like 6 years now. Now, I know other people who can't go 6 days, 6 weeks, 6 months without being in a relationship. They just need to be in a relationship.
Yeah.
Because they need that feeling of relationship. And I'm like, but if you do that and you're just looking for the relationship, then as soon as you're in one, you're locking yourself off from, depending on how truthful you are about your relationship, but you're locking yourself off from seeing somebody else. But at the same time, I think it takes a degree of, I don't want to say confidence, it takes a degree of self-assurance for you to be single for an extended amount of time, knowing that you're comfortable enough in yourself to be single, but still being on the lookout to seek for the right person. I think over the course of time, because I'm not gonna lie, every so often I turn around and you just have that little self-talk of like, what the hell? Like, seriously, I can't be that bad, can I? You look around and you see other people in a relationship and you're looking at yourself and you're like, well, I'm not that bad. But then I know for me, I remind myself like, I could get in a relationship if I was ready to settle for a relationship. But I think it's kind of hard to.
The way I see it is I got to a point where I realised that you can't go looking for a relationship. A relationship just happens.
It's luck.
You just find these people. Now, my situation with Daniela, the way I think that's so unique in the way it happened. But the circumstances and how it happened, you're like, right, if this didn't happen, then this wouldn't have happened. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So you can't. I couldn't have gone looking for that. Yeah. Now, I was in a period where I was with my ex for 4.5 years, and then I was single for 2, and then towards the end of that I was like, you know what, I do want to settle again, but I was meeting girls and it weren't clicking, but I was still content in myself that I'm not going to just, because I've been in one for 4.5 years, so I sort of know exactly what I want now, and I'm not just gonna settle for just anyone, do you know what I mean? And then I met Daniela and then it clicked, and that's what you gotta wait for it to click. You can't go, and if it ain't right, move it along, and then you just have to keep going. And then sometimes you may gotta realise, because it's not a thing of being able to get girls, that's never the issue. You can meet 1,000 girls, but meeting someone where you click, that's not easy, and that's something that's organic. It just has to happen just like that. You can't make it happen.
Also, you have to get out your own way. A lot of times people meet the right person and they put things in the way to block themselves from getting opportunity. One of the things that when I first dated my girlfriend is that because the age gap's quite big, she has more time. But also, because I work 9 to 5, I don't really, my job, I say it's not as hard, so I can work 9 to 5 and come home. So I have a lot of free time in the evening.
Yeah.
But I was so used to dating girls and seeing girls once or twice a week, that when I started dating my girlfriend, that when she wanted to come and see me 3 or 4 times a week, I was like, why?
Yeah.
And I literally said I actually said to myself, bro, you've got to step out your own way. This girl likes you. She wants to spend time with you. You're not doing anything. All you're doing is sit in front of the PC. She can be there while she's doing that. Yeah, let her come round. And like, because I did that, we built up this friendship where literally, like, I'm around her a lot. And that's, for me, it's weird because normally I wouldn't want to be around a girl that much. Because girls, people, not girls, but people get on my nerves. But with her, it's so easy. I don't mind her being around me. Sorry guys, the bikers are going crazy, but you can hear in the background.
Yeah, that's annoying.
But ignore it. But yeah,
I think what I would say to that is, you've probably had situations before where girls have wanted to see you 3-4 times, and you've shut yourself away and been like, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
There's something that is right about your current girlfriend, which I think has made you want to spend more time with her.
Yeah.
And it's all about clicking, which you can't make happen. I don't think it just happens.
It has to be organic.
No, and it's cool, and I get that, and I obviously I get that. Like, track record speaks for itself. But I think it's when 2 years is fine, that's acceptable. When people start going past that, again, I think it's very difficult to not fall in the trap. The longer it goes, to not fall in the trap and just say, well, I think I like this girl. I think I like this girl because, or get to a point where you're like, at 85% like her, maybe I just have to settle for this. Yeah. And for some people, I guess that works because the feeling of having a semi-good relationship versus the feeling of being single forever is it's like the lesser of two evils. So
one thing I would say to that, Ben, though, is relationships are hard work.
Yeah, they are.
They are hard work.
To be clear, I've been in a relationship. I haven't been single my whole life.
That.
I just wanted to stress that.
Yeah, we know that. But I'm just counteracting on what you just said there, because I think relationships are such hard work. I think if you're not all in, then somewhere down the line it's going to crumble. Yeah. So I think if you're not 100% in the beginning, and then you're just going into if you're thinking to yourself, you know what, I'm gonna do this for a year, couple of years, then okay. But if you're thinking, oh, I'm gonna jump into this and we'll see how it goes, and you haven't really got a plan, I just say there's no point even starting it, because somewhere along the line it's gonna fall.
Well, I said to somebody before, and I mean, and it sounds jokey, but I mean, like, a relationship is a job.
Yeah.
Because I said something before when I had my heaviest years at work, I was like, I ain't got time for a relationship. I can barely manage this job. I can't afford to have another one.
True.
And I know that sounds kind of flippant, but it is because of the work that it entails. It's not a job in the sense of the stresses it brings, but the hard work that it puts in. I agree, you need to make sure that you're all in on it. I think, and I wouldn't say I struggle with that, but yeah.
It's making the sacrifices. It's like, so my life's changed. I've changed quite a lot in the time I've been dating. And one of the things I did.
Why are you smiling?
That's one of the things I did do. One of the things I stopped going out, and what that is, I stopped going out because of. I started thinking to myself, I've been doing this so long, the same thing all the time. But also by not going out, I didn't have to look elsewhere. And what I'm not saying that because if I went out, I'll look elsewhere. It's just that you wouldn't have all that temptation out there.
Yeah, true.
And so I literally made my girlfriend my priority in what I want to do. Like if I want to do stuff, I want to do it with her. And I said to myself, look, I don't need to look elsewhere. Also, I kind of programmed myself to think like, yeah, these girls are attractive, but I don't find them attractive. I find my girlfriend attractive. Then I tried to like her. I said to her, and girls don't find me attractive. The only girl that finds me attractive is you. She just look at me deadpan in the face and think, yeah, so boys don't find me attractive. The only boy that finds me attractive is you. I might as well walk out in a short skirt. I was like,
She hit you back quickly.
Yeah, she hit me back. But like, I just changed. I said I found someone that I click with. I want this to work. Yeah, so I'm gonna do anything I can do in my power to make it work. Not saying I'm gonna roll over and just be dog's body and she walks all over me. It's not that. It's just that I'm gonna give this relationship a go and see how it goes.
And that's another important thing is when you do find, I think when you do find that one that you feel there is a future with, because us as men, I think when we meet girls, we can kind of know whether there's a possibility of a future or not with somebody. And I think if you find that you give it some time and you say, you know what, yeah, this can be the one. I think we owe it to ourselves as well to also try and make it work. Because as men, sometimes we want the girls to do the running around and to show all of the effort. And I know that's been me back in the day. You do all of the effort. You ring me. You show the interest. You know, I'm gonna be. But because we feel macho. You know, you're a bit of a pussy if you try. You know. And try and put.
You've got.
I don't think you have to be confident enough in yourself because people can manifest that. So I'm not. I don't get girls to do all the effort. In fact, they put too much effort in. I'm like, no, it's too much. I've become too much. You're getting into my life too much. Because for me, I'm like, it needs to be a balance. I spoke to a girl about this before. I'm like, it needs to be. If I can't have a 24/7 girlfriend, then I need to find a girlfriend who doesn't want a 24/7 boyfriend. Not that you don't have a functional relationship. You have one where she's like, I'm not going to expect you to come home to me every single night and give me all of your attention because I have mine. Like, so your lives, you share a life rather than, and you have to make, there is a balance and you have to make sacrifices and stuff, but you share a life rather than one of them ends up having to sacrifice too much and making themselves unhappy.
Yeah, definitely.
How long do you think? How long did it take for you? How long did it take before you clicked on like, yeah, this one worked? Because obviously I have my infamous 3-date rule. So and you just said there sometimes you need to give it long enough to get to that.
I think so. I think it's something that develops over a period of time. Initially you meet someone, and for me it's like an attractiveness, a physical thing first of all. Then you get to know them. Then you want to still know about their family, their upbringing, what makes them. There's so much to find out in finding an actual girlfriend who's going to be wifey. Do you know what I mean? And that takes time because. And the other thing as well is when you move in with them, that is a whole nother level. So you could be together for years, move in with each other, and then it's a whole new person.
So
that
do you know what? I was talking to a girl before, and she said, sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Is that she said. She was talking to her nan. She's like, "Oh, you two should just go away for the weekend." Because she's like, if you're trying to work out whether you two would actually get on, go and spend 48 hours and continue. Because I've been on. So last relationship I was on, we went on holiday for a week. We split up a month later.
Yeah. That happens a lot though. Yeah. I say a lot because a lot of times in relationships, the guy is just her boyfriend and she's just your girlfriend. And what I mean by that, they're not actually friends. So I think what people miss out in relationships is that friendship part. Because of you go to dinner together, you joke around, have a laugh, you go home, that's you. But when you're like living together or like you're around a person a lot, you have to actually like that person. That person actually has to be your friend.
Yeah.
A lot of times in relationships, a lot of guys that date girls, that girl's not their friend, that girl's not in their life. she has her friends, he has his friends, but they come together and they go cinema together, they go for food together, they go like weekends away together. But they don't spend that quality time getting to know each other properly, and they don't actually like. So when they actually find out about their partner, like find out about them, they think, I actually like this person.
Yeah.
But I think to have a relationship, that person has to be your friend first before your partner.
I think you have to put effort in to get to know them. So the thing is, so I understand when you talk. So for every actor, the free date. I don't know if anybody's seen Hitch, right? Hitch. There's a moment in Hitch film where he's like, I don't like to get to know a woman past a certain point, and that point was about a week ago when she ends up hurting him, right? Now I take a very similar approach today, and I'm like, I don't want to get in a position where I put myself in a position where a girl can walk off and then she's not broken my heart and not playing violence here, but she's managed to hurt me emotionally, right? So I don't put myself in that position unless I really think it's worth it.
Yeah.
Likewise, I don't put a girl in that position. And I'm like, the way that I date, like it's not, so I'm not gonna meet you and say, oh, do you wanna come around and chill for the evening? And like, and part of the problem is I will say, do you want to go out for dinner? But then I'll take them out to the dinner for a nice place. This is not meaning I've fallen for you. This is me. This is me being a man. I'm a grown ass man. I'm caught on a woman to steal also ways, and I'm gonna treat her like a gentleman, right? So 2 dates in, you've taken on 2 dates like this. You ask some questions. And obviously because I'm a good listener, like, and you said before when you went on a date, the one of the girls was like, best date you've been on, and all you did was allow her to talk, right?
Yeah.
So we get 2 dates into it, and they're thinking, well, he's really into me, and I'm thinking, well, I'm not actually that into you. It's just I enjoy your company, but I rarely meet a girl who's not a nice girl. It's just not the girl for me.
Yeah.
Which is why I have my 3 dates. But I think I genuinely, the way I approach dating is, I like to think I'm quite perceptive, so I know quite early on whether it's going to work. The physical attraction, but beautiful people exist the world over.
Yeah.
Like, it's, for me, it's attracting my eyes is one thing, attracting my mind is the other. And that becomes the part which is challenging. I've come across girls before and I'm like, wow, they throw a curveball, we'll start talking about stuff like, I sat in a conversation where a girl started talking about psychology and I'm like, wow, this girl deep, like she's got something to talk about. I could be out with her and not just talk about, oh, what happened in your day? What happened last week? What's going on in the social world? You can talk about something legitimate, because for otherwise, within 4 weeks, you're like, well, we've run out of stuff to talk about now. Let's talk about our friends' lives. Like, that seems boring to me.
I was talking to today about anthropology, and we're talking about like meat and how we make, because there's a theory that human beings eating meat, it made our brains grow. And the fact is that most people want me to bounce off ideas with me. She was able to break down my theory, tell me why it's wrong, and then have that back and forth. Because we could talk about anything. I can talk about anything with her. I've had dates with girls, and the girls said I'm too intelligent for her. Literally said, you're too smart for me, I can't date you. I think you talk about, goes over my head, I don't understand what you're talking about. All I want to talk about is EastEnders. No, nothing wrong with EastEnders, it's just that she felt that we didn't click. I was like, cool. I've had girls, before I dating my current girlfriend, last summer, I dated non-stop. I saw one girl for 1 month, another girl for another month, another girl from May till September, I was dating. And when I met my girlfriend, it was like, bang, like the feeling was just there. It was just like, yeah, she's the one. And I knew, like, not that I knew she was the one, I knew that we'd get on because of like, the further I met her, the things we were talking about, I don't talk to normal girls about it. It's like, you just bang in, you have deep conversations. It's like, wow, this person actually has a brain. Like, I'm not saying that a lot of women haven't got a brain, but a lot of women don't want to talk about certain things that they think might be a bit nerdy. Or
the thing is, it's just the way that you click. So, because if you've got somebody who is a guy who just watches TV all the time in The Walking Dead, and he meets a girl who's into watching her TV and she just wants to come home and chill at night and he just wants to come home and chill, then that's perfect. It's not about intelligence or lack of intelligence, like, it's that they fit with each other, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got versus somebody who wants to come in and have fruitful conversations. You need to find, again, somebody else who clicks between the two of them.
It's literally two people that are compatible with it.
Yeah.
You know, a Spurs fan, an Arsenal fan, that could still work.
That's what I was going to say.
That could still
exactly.
work. Because they've got a common interest in football, and then there's that banter, that rivalry, and they can bounce off each other. It's just having common interests, stuff that you can... I think what happened with me and Daniela early on, which I was attracted to her about, was her banter. And I always like a girl with a sense of humour, and she had great banter, and like she would say things, and I'll just be like, oh. And then it started getting to the point where we would say things at the same time, and that sort of stuff. And you know, you hear people talk about it, but it generally did start to happen, and you start to think, feel that that connection, and you know what, this is something that's real. So yeah, man, it's just being compatible. Like you're saying, it doesn't have to be intelligence or anything. It's just two people. You see some people two people that look a certain way, and you'd be like, oh wow, I can picture you two together. Do you know what I mean? It's that sort of.
I think take away from me for people to take away actually from the conversation is don't. Because society suggests it's difficult to be single. There's almost a stigma to it. If you're single for a long time, like assume if you're single for like multiple years, then you must be a player, right? You must be a player because how could you not be, right? Because you've been single for a long time. Or if you're single for a long time, society suggests that you should be in a relationship. So you start to feel a lack of confidence in yourself, right? And I just think people need to be confident enough and comfortable enough in themselves to want to seek out that right compatibility. I'm not saying you can have a perfect match, like I'm not saying that all the stars are aligned, but you find the right compatibility rather than letting all the pressures of society and all the pressures of being single force you into just settling and accepting. Because the problem is you can go through dealing with that, you can go through dealing with that to the point you get married, right? But often what I find is people who got married super young before they understood what love is, because I'm like, when you're getting married at like 21, 22, some of them might last back in the day, but nowadays you don't really know what true love is, right? At that age. When I look back and I'm like, I spent with my girlfriend, if you asked me at the time, were you in love with her? I'd probably said yes. I look back now, I've been like, this is nonsense, I didn't even know what it was, right? But you get people who fall into relationships, they will last, and the further they go, 4 or 5 years down the line, you realise, wow, I wasn't compatible and I can't do this anymore. And so somewhere it's going to fall apart. So I think it's really worth holding out and then investing the effort in finding the right compatibility at the start in order to find a longevity, rather than taking the easy option at the start, which will come out in more immeasurable amounts of pain further on down the line if you need to fall apart.
Totally agree. Another thing I wanted to add, and it will be interesting, ladies, to hear your views. So if hit us up on the comments and let us know what you're thinking. But I think it's a little bit different for men and women, because women tend to have, and this is just what I feel, and I've got a very close friend who's a female that I'm learning from how she's been going. She's been single for a little while and how she's been taking it and things like that. But women have a clock, or they feel like they have a clock. And it's not the same for men. You know, a man could be 50 and still, you know, get a younger girl, or still be able to do X, Y, and Z. And I think, especially ladies who want to have children, when you start getting closer to 40, and you have it, it's a little bit harder for them. And then that's when, exactly what you were saying earlier, do you then just jump into the first one that, not the first one, but one that doesn't quite feel right, but it's right enough for now, and then you just jump into it.
And I get that, because I had this conversation with girls before, and I get what they mean, and they do. There is a biological clock. Like, you can't argue around it, right, when it comes to having kids. But I think they get it worse from society that convinces them, well, I do need to settle down. So they almost find themselves where they do have to get, which is, I've had this conversation before. But I also think at the flip side, it kind of still overlooks it when you just say, it's easy to say, well, guys have a longer shelf life. Yes, I could go and settle down when I'm 50 and have kids, but that means I've got another 20 years, single. I don't want to have that. I may be able to last for longer, but would I rather find somebody now and have 20 years of happiness than go through 20 years by myself, not being unhappy, but 20 years by myself, to say, well, I'm a guy, I've got a longer clock, like, so I don't think it's quite as black and white as people, but normally they put it as all pressure on women, no pressure on men, and I think it's somewhere in the middle. Some guys will be happy and play the field for those 20 years and love it, whereas there will be other guys who do want to settle, but they just get stuck in the middle. But I do agree that I think women have it a lot more, and they get a lot more societal pressure.
Yeah, definitely. All right.
So I think we're gonna. I did say before this, we're not gonna take breaks in this, but we're gonna take a quick interlude, only because I think the guys need to freshen up a bit. Give a little clip back from Leon plugging the website and the rest, and we'll be back in like 2 minutes.
All right, peace out.
All right, so we're back. I just took special measures just in case it started getting too heated to change into a different colour.
That's why I wanted to break.
Well, I see every sweat. There was one point at the end of that, I saw the sweat beads starting to come down. And I was like, this is a perfect break stop. So I wanted to, and I don't think we, touched on it lightly last week when I was talking about owning the suit and the Guy Ritchie episode of Joe Rogan, but I want to talk about the concept of absolute ownership. So I heard it, first time it was brought up, I was listening to Tim Ferriss podcast, and he was interviewing Jocko Willink. who now consequently has his own podcast, right? And obviously he's a former Navy SEAL, so when he talks, it's very like matter of fact, like there's no emotion in it. It's all absolute control. But when he spoke about it, there's so many meanings. I've just ordered his book the other day, and if it doesn't turn up before I go to Bucharest, I'm going to be so annoyed.
When you going to Bucharest?
Monday morning. Lose my bank holiday. But still, it is what it is. So yeah, I want to read it because he spoke about it, just literally taking ownership of every component of your life. And one of the things he spoke about is like when he used to go and ask for stuff. So when they used to go out to the troops and the commanders that headed them up and be like, right, tell us what you need. And loads of people would be like, we need this and this. And then he would be like, never needed anything. And then when he did need something, then it knew that it was legitimate because he was like, no, I'm good. But then when he did need something, he knew that he would get it straight away because he knew that he would put that message out there that I'm in absolute control of what I own of my team. If I am coming to you, it means I genuinely need your help. So he would openly get it. Like, would never be in a boy cry wolf situation. Yeah. But he also talked about, and I believe in this as well, is that when something goes wrong in your life, there may be components that were out of your control, but somewhere down the line to get to the point that you were, there will always been a moment that you could have intervened at an earlier point. Yeah. And people fail to they don't want to take the opportunity to accept that and learn the lesson they can take from it so they don't get it in future over taking the option to just say, well, it all conspired against me. And when I briefly touched on it last week, I was like, people want to put it down to serendipity when you succeed and then put it down to you when you fail. And ultimately, it all comes down to you need to take ownership of every component. So yes, there may be external factors that change in the outside world that ultimately contribute to a failure that you encounter. But could you have responded differently at the get-go of when that occurred? Could you have adapted differently? So whilst you're wallowing in self-pity, could you be actually turning around and say, do you know what, if I'd only got this back then I could have plugged this out. And even that is difficult to take. It takes a degree of strength to look at that, because if it's a bad fall that you've had and you think to yourself, actually I could have fixed this, that makes it worse because you think to yourself, if I'd have fixed this then I wouldn't have been in this situation. So it does take, I think it takes a huge degree of strength and confidence to actually take full control. But I feel like when you do that with your life, it completely flip turns. You take all of these excuses out, all of these, well, I can't get a job because of this, and I can't get a promotion because the woman next to me got it because they're trying to promote diversity, and I can't be successful because I haven't got the time. When we all don't know that everybody who's made a success hasn't come from anything different than being a human being like the rest of it, right? There's always reasons. But then when you start to look at the people who are successful in their career, in their lives, and when I say in their lives, they've just got happy families and happy lives, right? They took ownership of everything that went on to create that life. And like, I feel a lot, and we spoke about this in earlier podcasts, is that I find too many times people are just looking for self-validating excuses.
People have to learn to look outside of themselves. To take ownership, you have to be able to look outside of yourself and say, okay, what do I need to do? Or why am I not succeeding? Or why is it my life that I'm not getting to where I want to get to? And not look, because what people do a lot, they look to other people, look to other situations, look to environments, and they never look inside themselves and say, okay, what am I not doing? So then when you start basing the problems on in your environment, or your boss, or your relationship with your mum, relationship with your brother, you not getting it, you crashing your car, and the price of petrol going up, all that does is give you that crutch to say, well, it's not my fault, it's this reason. When you take ownership of your life, you take responsibility for your actions, even when things go bad, you say, okay, where did I go wrong, and where can I correct this going forward? When you take ownership as well, it minimises the issue of when you hit something bad or you fell. Because you know that you had something to do with it, you can correct it. When you say other people had something to do with it, then you can't correct it, and then you put your hands up and let yourself wallow in self-pity. I think it takes the ability to look outside of yourself, and what I mean by that is that when I left university at the age of 21, I felt that the majority of people that had told me to go to university had lied to me. And what I meant by this is that I thought that as soon as I go to university, I'd come out and I'd get a job and I'd be a manager, because the whole point of going and getting a degree is that you're better than the people that didn't go to university. And I felt that I'd been lied to. But what I realised I hadn't been lied to, that the people that were giving me the advice to go to university, or giving me advice to get to where I wanted to get to. They just didn't know. So what I had to do, I had to look outside myself. I had to, the thing that people always say is read what the master's reading, the only way you're going to get past. So I started looking outside of myself. I started reading more books. I started asking people that were successful, what were they reading? I started looking and saying, okay, so what's Steve Jobs reading? Okay, what's my brother reading? He's successful in this job. What's this person reading? And I started reading, and it led me to here, because of what you find is that the books I read and the knowledge I had led me to start talking to Ben, start talking to you, and then you find that you have common interests, and then it leads you, it expands your world, and then it leads you to places like this, where we have a group of friends, a large group of friends, but us three are the ones that are doing Lifessa because we have similar interests.
Yeah.
And all that is because I took ownership. I didn't blame it on other people. I said to myself, I need to know how to get, I want to get somewhere, how am I going to get there? I want to know what these people know. So I have to take it on myself and own it and say, and I have to have the knowledge to get there. So I started asking questions. I took ownership. And I think that's because I looked outside of myself. I didn't say I'm a black boy from North London, that I can't do it. I said to myself, what can I do? What can I do to get to where I need to get to? Who do I need to talk to? Who do I need to be around? What books do I need to read? Who do I need to cut out of my life? Who do I need to drop? And it's helped me. And I think when you own things, then it helps you.
I think, speaking from experience, when you don't take ownership, that's exactly what you're doing. Is you're making excuses.
Yep.
You're making excuses for why you're not here, and you're blaming it on different things. And don't get me wrong, you can have bad luck, and some things can happen. But like what you said, is there were points where you could have intervened. There were points where you did something wrong. Do you know what I mean? And stuff that happened to me back in the day, bad luck with some investments, for example. That was because of myself. I didn't do the right due diligence. I didn't do the right. I didn't go into it in the right way. I wasn't informed enough. So that was, I got bad luck, but that was my own fault. And then for a long period of time, I wallowed in self-pity, and I had bad luck, and I'm finding excuses. Now I'm at a point where I can acknowledge where I went wrong, and all that does then is exactly what you've done, is you then start to find ways to progress.
Yeah.
So as soon as you drop off the crutches of excuses and you act, and you're saying to yourself, you know what, this is what happened, I'm going to take ownership, now I'm going to start trying to do something. And that is where a lot of people need to get their heads around. Instead of complaining, start trying to do something and trying to get somewhere.
It goes back to what he was saying last week, when he was saying about the election and it not affecting him. And what it means is that people blame the government for a lot of things for them not getting forward, but in reality, if you focus on yourself, then you can work around the barriers that the government puts there, or things that happens, changes in the laws that may happen. If you put ownership on yourself, then you can manoeuvre around it. If you don't, then you say it's not my fault, I can't get there. Where it's the government, it's Tories, they cut my benefits, they did this, they did that. But you don't actually take ownership of your own self and say, okay, bad times are coming. How can I mitigate this?
You lot said this in early podcasts. You lot spoke about being problem solvers, and that's what you need to be. Is if you're going to take ownership and you want to progress, there are going to be things that are thrown at you, and you need to navigate and maneuver away and find a way and be a problem solver.
I think you do need to do that, but you also need to accept the fact that you are going to do wrong. So you had a good example that you just made there, and I've been in a similar scenario where I went into investment where basically I was in a bad position. Someone was trying to bankrupt me. Everything was, felt like it was falling down around me. I had somebody advising me saying, well, why don't you blame these people who you took the investment with because they didn't educate you? And I'm like, it's not in my persona to do that, because the reality is, well, yes, I could blame them, but it would be inauthentic, my argument, because I know that it was my failure that took on that. Now, that was a hell of a hard time to get through, but I learned from it. And when you go to the lowest of the low, and there was a point in time where somebody called me, I made it through that, and then somebody who I supported and looked after, and I basically acted as the guarantor for rent, and then they'd been kicked out, they hadn't told me. I've just made it through all this hardships. I get a letter saying, they've defaulted on their rent, so you owe X amount on their behalf. After I'd already told them 24 months before, take me off as your guarantor, they'd said they had. And you know what? At that point in time, I read it, I fell to my knees. Because I just felt broken. I called the guy says, maybe you need to, I'm shouting at him. He's like, maybe you need to get some emotional counselling. I'm like, you have no idea what I have been through in the last 6 months, hardest 6 months of my life. And you have put me in this situation by lying to me. And now you're telling me I need emotional counselling. I went mad. But what came out of that is I learnt going forwards to take responsibility for when it comes to anything where I've got investment in. It's my responsibility to know the details of it. It's my responsibility to plan, to have the finances in place. If I don't, it's my fault that I don't have those in place. So for instance, I downsized my living to make sure that I could put money away for a different investment that I had. That was my choice. I could have stayed where I was and got to the same point, but I learnt my lesson the first time round to say, I'm not going to have this happen again. And again, but I could have just said, well, I'm going to blow it. I'm going to live up life for 4 years and then I'm just going to whittle through it and blame everybody else. No, I didn't. I took responsibility for that. And that is me. And you know what I'm like. I don't live near my family. So this, at the time, I pretty much managed that burden on my own. I was going to work. I went to the Royal Courts of Justice and the Citizen Advice Bureau and said, what happens through the process of someone trying to bankrupt you? And she took me through all of it. And I went, and I just kind of laughed. She said, do you understand what I'm saying to you? I went, yeah. She goes, why are you laughing? She said, I said, I can't believe anybody would do this to my life for the sake of what they're doing it for. And then I was on my lunch break. I went back into work and had a meeting. Everybody's like, are you cool? I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Because I couldn't afford to break down. I can't afford to break down in my life outside of this because of my mistake. I had to deal with the failures and manage my life at the same time. And it's the same thing as early on in my career. That the ownership thing for me has just been ingrained when I was younger. I think it came out of the fact that I was quite shy. Well, because I had those shy upbringings in my teenage years, I always felt like the world ain't going to give me nothing. And don't get me wrong, I haven't come from super hard background. I'm not saying that. But I was like, the world ain't going to give me anything that I'm going to take for myself. So, for example, I went into working in IT. I've made it up to a relatively strong level in my career, right? But I don't have any qualifications. I went to take one test. I did a Microsoft course, right? I went and took the exam and I failed. And I failed because I answered it the way I would have done it in the world today. The quickest way to do it is how I answered the question. But I didn't answer it the Microsoft way.
Yeah.
Now, do you know what happened when I went back to do that exam next time? I never went back to do that exam. I never went back to do that exam. I'm like, I don't need something on a piece of paper that says I can pass book skills because I know I'm good enough to do it, apply myself on a day-to-day basis. So when I talk to somebody, they're like, so how did you get to the level you're at without qualifications? Because I'm good at what I do and I display that on a daily basis. I don't need to say, look at these wonderful qualifications I've got. My qualifications are me and the way that I act every single day. And again, that's me taking ownership, not me saying, well, now I've got all these qualifications, so if you don't want me, I can blame your lack of insight into me. That's me taking it, almost the risk to say, I'm going to remove the normal route out of there and the qualifications route to say, I rely that much on my ability to do what I can do. So I agree with you back there, again, because I've had very close first-hand concept of it, but it's so interesting so I listen to Jocko Williams' podcast now as well, because he's obviously deep, because he's coming from a Navy SEALs background, and it's like, it's trippy. I know they're going to war, but there's so much you can learn from the way that they approach war. Like, it's typical, you look back on it, one of the biggest selling business books out there is The Art of War.
Yeah.
Which has nothing to do with business, but everything to do with business. Yeah. Has nothing to do with how you approach life and success, but everything to do with how you approach life and success. When the army is coming from the south, make sure you shore up your defences where they come from. All of that.
Also,
right.
Getting the right, getting higher ground.
Vantage point,
higher ground is those things, and you say it's like war, but you can put it into life. Everything. Yeah, I agree. But yeah, I think with ownership, it's just like with the Guy Ritchie. Going back to the Guy Ritchie point, and Guy Ritchie saying about the suit and owning the suit. The reason why the suit died in the 1980s and 1990s is because of people were made to wear the suit. So when people are made to wear something, they take the ownership gets taken away from them, and they give it to the person that's selling them to wear it. But if you actually own the suit, you feel emboldened by the suit because it's your suit. You've tailored it to how you want to wear it. And you see differences between someone that owns a suit, how it's cut, the tailoring, and how sharp they dress, and how they carry themselves, compared to someone that doesn't own the suit, when it's usually it's just baggy.
I think that's taking pride as well, isn't it?
I think ownership.
I think it is ownership. I think it's you don't even have to take, because I don't tailor my suits.
Yeah.
But I'll be damned if I don't wear the hell out of that suit.
Yeah.
So when and the thing is, you can access away.
You're taking pride in your appearance, and I think the two and two come hand in hand.
Well, the thing is, no, there is taking pride, but you can tell a lot about someone by. I wouldn't say that it's weird. When I would say you could tell a lot by somebody by the way that they own the suit, I would say the way that they wear the suit, not the way that it looks, the way that they rock it, for want of a
the way
better
they rock
word,
it,
right? So when I go out, I wear a suit. I'll tell you what, one of my accessories when I wear a suit, and then I'm going out, and I don't have to be in a tight situation, my chest is an asset for me. That's an accessory to my suit. Because I will wear it, 2 buttons down, it's anyway, my shoulders are broad, I walk, up, held strong, there's nothing that doesn't say, this guy is confident in himself walking down the road. I'm not fronting on that. I'm owning that suit when I went out last night. The pocket square went in. Nice fitted shirt. Suit comes down. Rock out into the world, but every day I run to work and I see one guy standing by the bus stop, and it's one of those where his shoulders are hunched over and his suit is coming down to here, and all that you would take for him to do that is to square himself up and put himself up like that, and all of a sudden his suit may not fit perfectly, but it's a different person. It's the way you rock, it's the way you hold yourself out there. So it goes all past the suit is a great analogy that he uses for it, but I'm like, you have to own yourself. So when you step out, when I go running, and I'll put on like a Stevie thing, I own when I'm out. You can see I'm confident in the way that I carry myself there. You can see I'm confident in the way that I'm at the gym. You can see I'm confident when I sit in a meeting. Yeah. Like, all of those things, you have to do that all the time. And I think it's pride of appearance as well. Like, that also tells you a lot about somebody when they go out.
Yeah, it's just taking pride in your life though. So you can apply it, if you're in a meeting, just taking pride in you, how you come across, and that you always want to, and I think pride and ownership is, I think, is like go hand in hand.
They get linked. They are.
Yeah, they get interlinked.
Because once I think when you own stuff, you take pride in it.
Yeah.
You look after it.
Exactly.
So the same thing, you own your life. You take pride in your life. You look after your life. You make sure that when people see you, they see the aspect of the thing that you want to see. You take pride of what, you show what you want to show, and it's about being authentic as well. Because when you run. When you run in a vest, you own it, you're being authentic. If you didn't own that vest and you ran outside, someone will say something to you and it will hit you and you'll be like, maybe I shouldn't wear the vest. But because you own it, you don't care what anyone's going to say to you because you're being authentic in the vest you're running in.
Well, I run in my Superband fitted Under Armour top. I'll go into the office and they'll be like, yeah, I saw him running out there in that kid's clothing. I go into the office, I wear tight fitted shirts. I work out, right? So I wear fitted shirts. They're like, are you gonna stop shopping in baby? Are you gonna stop buying?
Baby
Gap. No, they're gonna start. Are you gonna start buying shirts that fit? I was like, I would start shopping in Baby Gap, but it's just so much cheaper. Like, so, and I'll take that, and I'll be like, look, anything you say to me is not gonna get me. They know that. They don't know that as well. Yeah. But I could go home and be like, I'm really self-conscious now about that, but I'm not. You say that to me, I'll be like, yeah, and what? Own it. I'm owning how I look. You don't like it. I don't need you to like it, and they respect me for that. Like, it's again, and another thing I was. What was the podcast? It was a podcast by, I think it was a guy who used to be, it was a guy who trained, he's an American Sniper.
Chris Ryan.
Yeah, but I think it was the guy that trained him who was on Tim Ferriss's show last week. I think this was him talking about, it was another podcast I listened to. But he was just like, it's alright if you haven't seen it. I'm feeling like we're going to lose the conversation. But basically, he was the guy who trained him and like created a sniper school to adapt to not having spotters and the rest of it. But he was talking about, and it might have actually been a different podcast I listened to because I listened to 2 of them back to back. But he was talking about how you can't let your feelings get the best of you, and that comes with the ownership as well, right? An example he used is when people let their feelings beat them. So when you wake up in the morning and you're like, well, I just don't feel like that today. And the reason I say that is, so I go gym 6 days a week, right? Sometimes 7. Like sometimes I don't even take a rest day. Like I shouldn't, but I don't. But doesn't mean every day I wake up and go, yeah, I'm bang pumped on the gym. Once I get myself in the gym and I zone out, I'm ready to go. But there are times when I wake up and go, well, it'd just be nicer not to go to the gym today. It would be nicer not to get up at 5 o'clock and be in the office for 7 o'clock, right? It would be nicer to lay in bed till 8 o'clock, but I don't. And like some people are like, well, I just didn't feel like it. So what? Like they allow their life to be dictated by the way that they feel. And I know when I've been like this before, people are like, why is he so blunt? Well, for things like this, I can talk because I know when I wake up in the morning with that 5 o'clock alarm. Yes, I don't. I look around. We were talking last week, and you guys were dropping off the me, and I think he said to you, what time do you leave your house? And he was like, 7:45. Like 7:45? I've had like 2 meetings before that time, right? So it'd be nice for me to be like, yeah, and I could get away with that. The thing is, because my job isn't a per se 9 to 5, but could be a 9 to 5, then I could turn up at 9 and I could leave at 5 and no one could say nothing, right? Because I'm working with the remits I want. But I choose to put in that extra because of the nature of my role. I choose to get in at 7. I choose to work at night, right? I could easily not do it. And it doesn't mean, again, every day I feel like I want to get up. Some days I feel I have down days. Some days I go in and I have to rock up and be like, right, the team are relying on me to set an example, but I'm not feeling my best self. But then I need to rock up and go through where I had my thing last week and be like, Superman mode, I'm on. Like, and I just think way too many times people, again, it's finding that, it's that ownership and it's that lack of excuses because they're just like, well, what's my excuse today? I felt a bit sick. So what? Get up, do it. Like, oh, I felt a bit unhappy. You need to get past that.
It just all goes back. I think it just all goes back to how much you want it, and I just relate it to the gym because I used to always tell myself I can't get up and go to the gym at 6, and then
In 2 weeks now you're in and you're feeling alright about it now, right?
Oh no, I've done it before.
No, but I know you said that message yesterday, being like,
but at the moment,
2 weeks,
2 weeks in
cool
now.
For me now.
It's I'm getting into that routine and I'm realizing that, you know what, I can actually survive on less sleep than I thought I could. So, but I put myself in that position because I really want to get in shape.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And some people, they kind of, you know, like ET says, you just kind of want it. You just kind of, and it's true. Some people just kind of want it. They don't really want it, and that's why they don't actually change what they. Because you've got to change what you normally do to get different results, and some people just keep doing the same thing.
But a lot of the time, I think when it gets to it, they kind of want it. It's not their dream. No, that's what I mean. I want to be in the music industry, but I want to be a rapper.
Yeah.
You don't want to be a rapper. You just want to be in the music industry.
Yeah.
If you by saying you want to be a rapper, you're not going where you want to go. So you kind of want it. So you don't actually go all the way. But if you find out what you actually want, then it helps you go. It helps you go that extra mile.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know what they want, so they go, I want to do this because of. It sounds good. It sounds like it'll give them money at the end of the day, but they're not actually going for the fulfillment of what they want to do.
Yeah.
So it's about knowing what you actually want to do and like to go the extra mile. Like you want to put in extra because you know exactly what you want to do.
Yeah.
It's hard to go and say I want to go to the gym. We don't really want to go to the gym.
I totally
you know,
agree
get
with
what I'm
you,
saying?
actually,
So it's understanding and saying to yourself, what do actually I want
to do? Yeah.
What do I want? And then when you know what you want, then you can go the extra mile. If you don't know what you want, you'll be like, I kind of want it because everyone says it's good to do, but do I actually really want it? Then you don't put the real work in. Because a lot of people are not honest with themselves. A lot of people really just want to sit in front of the TV and watch The Walking Dead. There's nothing wrong with it. Ben might make me feel bad about it, but there's nothing really wrong with it.
No, it's not. And I've said that before. I don't have any problem with that. But don't be a person who's sitting there watching TV and then complaining why you can't have what you want.
Exactly. So I'm saying, you have to be honest with yourself and say, what do you really want? And if you know what you really want, then you say, okay, I'm going to take ownership and get to where I want to get to. It's not saying, because my mum said that being a doctor is a good job, I want to be a doctor. Then you might not go all the way to be a doctor. It might take you a longer time than someone that really wanted to be a doctor to get there. When you are a doctor, you might not be a good doctor because you don't really want to do it.
No, but I believe you can still, even if you don't want to be a doctor and somebody forces you down that road, you can still be the best doctor. I think the problem is that people like to overlook how much people who are successful still have to go through it. They like to overlook it and say, well, the person who owns the company, he just has it good. He wakes up every day happy because he's got money in the bank. Whereas they have stresses. Every day they have stresses. Every day they have troubles and challenges that they face, right? But they work through it. And I think people like to convince themselves, like, no, this is not.
Well, yeah.
I just think it's that. I think they find too many other reasons. I'm like, everybody goes through it. Everybody who's waking up and you're feeling like it's too much for me, like, everybody has that. Even when you're at the top of the top. The Rock probably doesn't feel great about the gym every single day that he goes in there, but he's focused every single day that he goes in there. See what I mean?
Yeah. I definitely agree with what you said, Josh, that, you have to, it's got to be what you want to do. Like The Rock goes in the gym and he's focused because he wants to be in
but I just don't want to...
I think it's a lot more difficult when you're in a situation like, for example, being told to be a doctor and you don't really, it's not your passion. I think it's a lot harder to turn up.
I didn't wake up in my life saying I want to be an IT manager. This is not my absolute passion in life, but I am very good at it.
No, but I'd say that you didn't say that you want to be an IT manager, but I'd say that you said I want to put everything I put 100% in, everything I do, I want to put 100% in.
Yeah.
And that's different than saying someone saying I want to be a doctor and I want to be a doctor.
No, I get that, but what I'm trying to say is, even if you are not doing exactly the one thing that you want to be your thing in life, that's just another excuse for me, because there's almost another, I get what you're saying, that if you really find what you want, then yes, it helps you when you get to those hard times and it helps you through those. But in the absence of that, whilst you are not in that position of chasing your one passion and you're stuck in the life that you are now, you may need to maintain this life where you build a chance to follow that passion, and you still need to wake up in the morning when you don't feel like it and get up. And I've said that before. We don't expect people to just cut off what they're doing and follow their passion. You need to manage the stuff in the middle. And I completely get what you're saying. Yes, you need to love it, but you need to get to that point, and it ties into when I said before, excellence is a habit. When I'm in the gym, I'm applying excellence. Even when I'm doing stuff that I don't like at work, I need to do it to 150%, because then I've got a habit of being 150%. So I completely agree. Yes, when you love it, that would be great. And the doctor example, maybe I don't mean it like that. You wouldn't go into a whole profession that you don't enjoy. But what I want to get out there is people are doing stuff that is not their absolute passion, and they just find a reason of, well, I just don't feel like it today. And what I'm saying is there are people who are successful out there. They're still dealing with struggles, but people overlook it because they see the front face of media. So they're like, well, their life just must be perfect and they have no stresses. I can guarantee you get them behind closed doors, they will have stresses.
Yeah, I get what you mean. I just think it does kind of contradict a little bit to what we've said in terms of passion, what drives people, and the fact that you get up in the morning and you follow what you want to do, and you should seek to try and do what you, because then we could say that why follow your passion then? Because you can be 150% in doing something that you don't enjoy. So why bother follow your passion?
Well, no, but why would you not? Well, that doesn't make it. That is not what I said, and that does not contradict it. So if you follow your passion, you can find happiness in what you're doing in life, right? But that doesn't stop you if you're not following your passion from giving 150% because you find excuses for it. That's got nothing. So I could preach the whole follow your passion and that's how you give 150%, but that's not going to be the reality for everybody. This is me being realistic about the fact of where you are. You are going to face challenges in your daily life, and waking up and saying, well, I've got an option. I'm going to a job that I don't like, which I'm going to have to make well in this until I can follow my passion. So what do? I say, well, I can't give 150% in this job to earn myself the money that I need to put behind to follow my passion, because it's not my passion. This following your passion and enjoying it and giving 100% should be your end goal. But you need to be able to give 150% in where you are now. Even if it's not where your passion is. You can't just go from, again, for me, excellence is a habit, and you can't switch on and off. And that's not me contradicting anything that I've said before. It's me saying, I don't want to come across as everybody just being the same as everybody else and saying, well, you're not happy in your life. How do you get happy in your life? Just follow your passion. Well, that's great then. But I am where I am now. How do I get from A to B? Well, you accept the fact that while you're going from A to B, you need to build up a habit. It's like when Gary Vee spoke about it before, right? If you're not enjoying what you're doing, then take your life and go from your 9 to 5 and work your 9 to 5 well, but then spend your 5 till 9 working on your different goal. So adapt, but again, for me, you can't just switch on and off being good in one thing and then...
In that scenario, you're then still bringing in, you're still trying to focus on your passion. Then
you are working towards your passion.
You're working
yeah, but as I
towards
said, that's an end goal.
I think you're saying you're both. I get what we're both saying. I agree with what Ben's saying, and I think what Ben's saying is that you can have a passion, but if you're not in where you are right now, you can work towards it. I think both what you're saying.
Yeah, I just want to, both for me, you wouldn't end up in the gym if you didn't want to go to the gym.
Exactly.
In the gym in the first place.
Exactly.
You just wouldn't end up there. I want to take it out of context. This is me talking about, every time I get told, you don't talk about stuff that's relatable. I'm talking about stuff that's relatable right now. I go to work on days where there are things that I don't want to do in that job that day, but I still deliver 150% against them. That's not because I'm passionate about delivering world-class IT all the time. That's just because I have a degree of respect for myself.
But you enjoy doing IT. Do you not enjoy doing IT?
No, you're missing...
No, do you enjoy doing IT?
No,
Do you enjoy doing IT?
Don't talk like that. Don't straight that.
No,
question.
no,
because
I'm asking you to say,
no,
because you're gonna say yes, but I'm just saying, do you enjoy doing IT? I just asked you a question.
There are parts of my job that I enjoy. There are parts of my job that I don't enjoy. But I give 150% all the time.
But you're doing something that you do enjoy. For me knowing you, IT is something that you like doing.
Well, no, I'm not. I don't actually do stuff in IT. I'm good at management and leadership. I enjoy that.
So, but you enjoy your job role. This is the point I'm getting. You enjoy your job role, and it's different. I believe that it's different because you're still doing something that you enjoy. There's people out there that are doing stuff they don't enjoy. They're stressed, and we've talked about stress in the past on this as well. And then for us to tell them that you can't be stressed or you can't be upset and you need to give.
I didn't say that at all. I didn't say that at all because you're now taken away from the fact. In the last 2 weeks, I've given nearly 200 hours of work, and you're acting like I just enjoyed every moment.
No. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. I'm actually asking you about your job role. We all have. You can still do. These people that are following their passion, they're still going to have times where it's not quite worked out for them. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about if you enjoy what you like doing, then that's totally different than saying to somebody that doesn't enjoy what they're doing to then give 150.
No, but if you don't enjoy what you're doing, but you're working towards your passion, imagine if you do a job you don't actually enjoy doing, but you actually put 100% in that job you're doing, so then when you finish that job off at the end of the day, you can go and work on the things you actually enjoy doing. You're continuing a habit of excellence. You're putting 100% in to everything you're doing. It's not saying that even if you don't enjoy what you're doing, you still put the time in. There's days when I'm an accountant. I don't always like being an accountant. There's days I loved my job, and there's days I don't love my job. Being an accountant has never been my end goal. Everyone knows me. My end goal has never been being an accountant, but I am an accountant. I'm working in a job that I don't particularly, not saying I don't enjoy, but I don't want to end up in. But I can still continue to work towards my passion. That's what I think.
But what I don't understand, maybe it's been a long week, and maybe I'm just very bad at articulating myself tonight. But all I'm saying is, you're talking about reaching your end goal. I'm saying you need to get past the bad feelings when you're here to get to here. I'm not saying that you wouldn't aim for here. You would always aim for here, but there is going to be a point where you're here. Yes, you might not enjoy your job, but you're still going to have to give yourself to it. Because for me, I just don't believe you can switch on and off, given a high degree of effort, whether I like it or not. And this comes down to, and the reason that I got frustrated with the question is because you asked it in a yes or no manner, and it's not a yes or no answered question to me. Do I like working in IT? I don't, and that would be relevant if all I did every day is turn up. If I was still an engineer, I would get that question, right?
I was asking, do you like your job? So usually if you ask somebody, you can answer yes or no to whether you like your job or not. And
well, I can't personally. That's not a yes or no answer to me. That's why
but even if you didn't like your job, if you're working towards your passion, you can always give 100% to a job you don't actually enjoy doing.
I don't think it's that easy.
Why no, it's not easy. But this is the point. This is the point I'm making. It's not easy.
It's not easy. It's not easy. It's not going to be easy if you don't enjoy what you're doing. It's not going to be easy doing it. However, you
can. Maybe I need to watch this podcast back, but that's not the way.
I'm just going. Maybe I'm just
before to say that. I'm just saying it's not that easy. Before it was very much of you. Don't make excuses. You have to give 150% every day. That's the way I was taking it.
So
not taking into the fact that it's still going to be difficult for people that don't enjoy what they're doing to go in and give 150% every day.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be difficult. However, it's not supposed to be easy. It's never.
We've got less than 150%. If we flip back, the point I started with is people overlook the fact that everybody, even at the highest of high and peaks, is still going through days where they don't feel like it and they need to get themselves through it. That was what I originally started with. The 150% came in further along the way. Ultimately, this still comes down to the same thing, is that when people are waking up and saying, well, I just don't feel like it, or I just don't enjoy my job, everybody has had to go through those and get through that. I'm not saying that it's easy. In fact, I'm saying the complete counter opposite. I'm saying you need to be aware of the fact that, yes, it's hard, but you're not the only person feeling this.
What happened was Josh then said, it's harder for people when they're doing it when it's not their dream. We was talking about when it's not your dream, then that's when it started. Then I think that's when you came in, was basically saying, even if it's not your dream, i.e. the doctor scenario, you still need to. And the point I'm making is that when you're in something that you don't enjoy and you don't enjoy it, you don't want to be there. It's not a case of you should be going in every day and giving 150%.
But I think to be fair to Ben, I do think he did backtrack on the doctor's point, and he actually did backtrack on that, So I see what you're saying from that point, but I think he did backtrack on it, and I do think he clarified it as well going on.
Well, no, just the doctor's part, but the principles still remain the same. That he was saying that you, even if, because we've just been talking about it for the last.
So then the ultimate is me and you have a different viewpoint on this.
Yeah,
which is cool. But my viewpoint is whether I enjoy stuff or not, I'm gonna give myself 150%. Maybe I should say 110%, 112% or whatever. But again, I just want to be clear. There's a reason I don't give a yes or no answer stuff, because I don't see just do you enjoy your job as yes or no. If I absolutely loved every aspect of my job, I would say yes. If I hated every aspect of my job, I would say no. I can't give either of those. That's why I said it's not a black and white answer to me.
No, but I think it is, because
Well, it's not to me. Again, it's not to me personally.
Someone can say to me, "Do you love Man United?" and I'll say, "Yeah." Do you love everything that Man United does throughout a season? Is no. But the principle is that you do. If you speak to The Rock, for example, and say, "Do you love entertaining? Do you love what?" He will say, "Yeah." But does he? Every aspect of what he does, does he love it?
But if you'd asked me, do I like leadership, I would have said yes. That's very simple to me, because the leadership component of my role is different. Taking a sports team is completely out of context.
So how much of the leadership is your? How much is that? How much of the leadership is your role then? How much is that in your role?
Well, I lead a team, so leadership and management are a large component.
So is that basically 100%? No,
because then there are components where I need to deal with the parts of it where I don't enjoy dealing with challenging stakeholders. There are parts of it where I have there are many components of it where I couldn't say that I 100% enjoy them, but I still do them.
Yeah.
And I still do them at the highest of my ability.
I get that, but I'm saying the you're not.
So, but then it's still the job.
We're gonna go around in circles.
Well, we are, because I don't really understand how we ended up here, but still.
We're gonna go around in circles.
Alright, so. Okay, that was exhausting. I'm hot. Alright, so what's the fun?
And I may just be flipping and short on a fuse, because I had a very long 2 weeks, so maybe I'm just.
I'm not really phased by that.
No, but it's sometimes we agree to disagree.
Yeah, we don't have to agree on everything. We don't have to agree on
Yeah.
everything. We've got a difference of opinion on that.
Yeah, it's cool. Alright, so what's the final topic this week on episode 31?
I think we covered quite a lot. I think it's been quite a long episode, and it's quite
a hot day.
It's a Friday night that we're doing it on anyway.
Alright, cool. So, as we always say.
Do you remember it?
Nah, Ben, I'm too hot. I'm sweating. I'm not.
So we're filming this on a Friday. You might see it later on in the week, but I hope by the time you view this that you had an enjoyable bank holiday weekend if you're over in the UK, or a good weekend if you're anywhere else. You've got on your t-shirt, but you can't remember. But you know how it goes. Life is only as good as your mindset, and your results are only good as your hustle. So enjoy your weekend and your week, and we'll catch you next week.